Yeah,
So,
who's definitely going to be on my team? Whoever cancels $50,000 of my student debt.
Me.
Segue God. Okay, this was mine.
Damn, I shouldn't have paid off my student loans. I should have just left them there.
I told you that.
Segue God.
I told you that.
Well, according to a number of sources, Chuck Schumer is rumored to be pushing, as well as Elizabeth Warren behind the scenes. They're pushing for cancellation of $50K of student debt within Joe Biden's first 100 days in office. That is a strong possibility that is because this would tie right back into the economy, because that would provide some relief to the economy if this a $50K worth of debt isn't hanging over Americans ages 25 to whatever you want to call it.
My man, if he does this and a COVID check, 3 terms. I'm calling it right now. 3.
Let's do it.
It's the base. LOSO __G.
DK, the engineer.
It's your boy. Let her have the T. B4V. You go, boy.
It's the base.
Run down.
Hallelujah.
Well, now let's talk about this COVID thing. I mean, we've been saying it forever now that this shit is just going to keep going up. People kind of been, I don't know, ignoring it, or at least maybe not taking it as serious. You know, every day we keep breaking records. You know, these are records we shouldn't be breaking, but we breaking records every day. And I want to know if we're going to get any relief. Is there going to be any relief in sight?
Maybe.
It's at some point.
We'll see. You know, as of right now, even Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats are trying to renew negotiations, which makes sense. You know, it doesn't necessarily make sense to wait until the president-elect takes control in order to move things forward. So, yeah, you know, they're still in the deadlock. We'll see what happens within the next few weeks or months.
I know Cuomo was shutting things down come Friday. Everything closed by 10. And gyms and restaurants with liquor licenses. Dang, the gym.
Sucks. I mean, it sucks for small businesses. Like, all this is really terrible. I understand why businesses really want to, you know, keep things open and people want to live their lives. And at the end of the day, you know, a lot of why we're in this situation is because people didn't take it seriously and there's like a piecemeal approach to it. So, yeah, and, you know, a lot of it is the fault of the various state governments. Like, you know, they'll do this hot cold thing where they'll do a lockdown one time and then they'll release the lockdown due to political pressure. And it's very, I don't know, it's very politicized. It's very, very politicized. And I don't know if that could be helped, but, you know, I don't know. It's just kind of like a tragic human thing, you know.
COVID's also been gaining some friends too. It's recruited some of its old viruses, including the measles.
Yeah,
the measles are back.
Yeah, 870,000 people across the world in 2019, and that's in 2019, which are the worst figures in about a century, and it could be even worse this year, largely because people haven't been getting immunizations. Largely it has to do with hospitals dealing with COVID. In my own experience, it also has to do with people stubbornly not vaccinating their children in particular, which makes no sense. You know, there's this weird apprehension towards vaccinating children that, I mean, it's not even scientifically tenable. It's extremely irresponsible to not do it, and then people suffer for it. Like, measles is something that could be completely eliminated, which essentially was and is now brought back by people not taking immunizations. I mean, there's just so many things that, you know, that vaccines help, essentially. And it's essentially one of the greatest inventions in human history that saved literally millions, billions of lives. Like it's insane. So,
well, I mean, we talked about it in a past episode. It was on the Netflix documentary, Surviving Pandemic, I think. So there was a big coalition about, I think in last year or 2 years ago, within the same realm, around time COVID came about. It was in Oregon, a whole bunch of anti-vaccine, free life parents were just like, yeah, we're not going to vaccinate our kids. And they freaking got legislation. They put pressure on their local government to not pass legislation that was going to basically prevent kids in public schools in Oregon in particular. Like, listen, if your kid has to get vaccinated or they can't go to school, they put pressure on the government and the bill failed. And meanwhile, measles ravaged that community. Something that could have been cured, like whooping cough or polio.
Yeah, smallpox, and measles and smallpox are incredibly infectious, even more than COVID. Mm-hmm. Like, if you have a measles outbreak, you think COVID is bad, that shit will move through a community quick. There were like small outbreaks in measles in Brooklyn not too long ago, and it spread like crazy. These are diseases that were essentially wiped out 40, 50 years ago that should have been gone, like polio, things of that nature. It's pretty embarrassing.
Whooping cough.
Watch
scurvy and diarrhea make a reoccurrence.
Yeah.
Son. We're fucking regressing.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at abstract of this a study, and it shows that 6.6 million children die a year. 3.3 million are due to preventable diseases that can be addressed via vaccine. Things such as like pneumonia, diarrhea, things that we in the Western world don't necessarily see is fatal, but diarrhea in developing and third world countries is extremely fatal.
Dying from diarrhea is crazy, bro.
Diarrhea and these are all things that are preventable. And it makes sense, if you don't have access to it. Like a lot of third world countries don't have access to these like they should. But in America, there's no excuse. There's just so much data out there. There's no reason, like there's no tenable excuse for shit like this. Now with the COVID vaccine, it's unique in the sense that it doesn't, we don't know what type of scientific scrutiny it's gone through. There's sort of like a push to put something out there, and unlike other vaccines, there's not like the flu vaccine, where it's like damn near 80 years of data, right? Like 80 years is not like that. So I don't know. It's just really unfortunate. Like I understand people being apprehensive about a COVID vaccine just because it's so quick and it's come out. So I understand that. But like apprehension with measles, flu shot, shit like that is stupid. It's untenable. It doesn't make sense. My opinion.
These Google degrees, man. We talked about it. You get enough crazies to
just Google it.
I'm just saying.
You don't have to believe me. I'm just fucking guy talking shit.
That's the backbone of their argument. I watched the episode. I'm watching the episode of Surviving Pandemic with these crazies, these freaking flower child tree hugging.
Oh my god,
crazy!
And that's why all their kids died. No, it's fucked up. But like,
that's terrible. They're just like, yes, my son or daughter, I don't want them to be autistic. I read somewhere that if they get this vaccination, they're going to be autistic and they're going to die.
Which is stupid.
I'm just
this autistic shit has been debunked like 2 decades ago. Like it's not even a thing. Like, and I would much rather my kid be autistic than fucking dead. Like I don't like what
this guy.
Like what are we talking about? like what are you talking about? It's like you know, like
we gotta put dolphins. We gotta put dolphins over there.
Like,
hell yeah. An anti-masking mom from Oregon is gonna track you down, bro.
Yo, it's like
please, white tears, bro. That'll shoot it straight to the top.
It's like Rain Man or Dead Kids. What do you want? Like what's up?
Yo, come get this guy, yo.
Like, what do you want?
Get him out of here, bro.
Tell us how you really feel.
This is about to be a
He
good
told us. He told us.
Yeah,
This is about to be a good show.
I told you.
Wow, it's you know
I'm
what?
sorry.
It's all
I'm sorry. I
all
got
that-
bad as a kid. My parents actually cared about me.
You're on 10, bro. We appreciate it. Speak your truth.
It's all that misinformation, bro, that's being spread. It's the reason why Trump keeps pulling these stunts, bro, and why he's like, just having fun with it.
So
And, you have people like McConnell that are like kind of encouraging but not putting themselves out blast in a roundabout way. They're being very choosy with their words.
Yo, bitch McConnell makes me sick, bro. Y'all know how I feel about it.
Mr. Flyhead. So from what I'm hearing, and let me give me some clarity behind it. He's like trying to say that the voting was rigged. That's one. Two, he's like sending out like legislations and they're just slapping them down. Every time he sends them out, they're slapping them down. Like, no, fuck out of here. So it's like, what's going on?
Dude, every state that he's tried like one of these ridiculously baseless litigation is just they've been slapped down. It got slapped down in freaking Michigan. It got slapped down in Georgia. It got slapped down in Nevada. It's gonna get slapped down in freaking Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. And not to mention, I mentioned it before in the last episode. These recounts, they're just such a flagrant waste of money, man. $3 million to do a recount. $3 million. You know how much? You know how many meals that can like give to like freaking disenfranchised families right now that have been affected by COVID, but you want to use it toward a recount. And plus, if he does the recount, like, okay, so say the first recount is going to be in Georgia. Say he gets this miraculously overturned, he still loses. He still loses. Like, how many recounts is he going to do? Like, how many? Like, where does this foolishness end? That's what I don't know. What's the end game?
I think it's just a Hail Mary. I don't know if they actually expect to win the presidency. I think this is more of like a political play into the future. I mean,
I think so too. No,
just kind of like my thing, because it's like
that's what I've heard.
As much as like we like to call Rudy Giuliani and people in his camp.
Wait. He's fucking crazy, by the way. Have you heard some of the whacked out shit Rudy Giuliani?
Oh no, he's definitely a whacked out old guy, but like none of them are stupid, right? They're not stupid.
What do you think, we're fools? What do you think, we're idiots?
Well,
Rudy Giuliani sounds like Grandpa Simpson right now.
No, yeah. Like I think it's a part of their shtick, because this MAGA it's a wave. It's like it's basically a movement. It's a soft movement. It has sort of the I guess the optics of like this is like a grassroots movement of like
grassroots cult. That's what it is.
American patriots and things like that. And I think even a lot of Republicans are sort of scoffing at the legal challenges that Trump are going through. And it's really interesting, because this could play well for the Democratic Party, because I've seen a lot of conservative media, like far right guys, but people who are pretty influential in that space, saying that they're pretty much abandoning the Republican Party. I don't know if they're just talking shit, or if they're just, if this is just Trump lost salt, coat type talk, but it's like they're really upset that a lot of the Republican Party isn't falling behind Trump. And yeah, we'll see how that manifests.
You guys think he's going to run again?
Probably not, but I can see Junior or someone in his camp running. I think he'll, by the time 2024 comes around, I think he'll be over it. He'll be too busy, making money off of appearances too much, making money off of book shows. Like, this is the greatest come up.
the Trump genre that we talked about.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm glad you brought that up, that boy, because we spoke about this. We said, yo, this is in the height of Hamilton. We was like, yo, watch. They're gonna be making plays, shows.
No, someone's gonna make
He's about to start
Trump
his own network. He's gonna start his own network, and he's about to take everybody from Fox who's.
Well, he has his own Trump app, but like this is just him. He's annoying, bro, because it's like apparently like
Yeah, tweet.
there's a huge what he's saying like through social media and like what's actually happening in courts. It's like said in courts like are completely different. So I mean, he's just doing this just to keep creating that character that is Trump, and I think it's really just to keep the the money moving along after he's out. Like, but it's just annoying, man, because it's just like. It's just annoying. I mean, I'm just tired of this motherfucker.
I mean, it already started. I mean, I watched the Comey Rule on Showtime. It was basically a 2-part movie that he did about basically James Comey, the former director of the FBI, who, he wrote, I think, 2 books about when he was director of the FBI, and it was Trump's, first year in office in 2016, how Trump basically tried to like recruit him and make him his like capo. Like he tried to set it up like a freaking organized crime ring. He's like, yeah, so I'm about to take over and be inaugurated. So I need loyalty from you. And Comey's like, I'm the director of the FBI. I can't be loyal to you. That's not like what? Meanwhile, Comey, as well as Rudy whacked out Giuliani, they freaking prosecuted the mob in New York in the 90s and whatnot. So he saw right through it. He's
right.
Like, he's like, what are you trying to do, bro? And he was fired, and all his freaking colleagues were fired subsequently in the coming months and throughout his presidency because they didn't want to capitulate. Meanwhile, while all this is happening, Trump and his entire cabinet are under investigation for working with Russia. This is all happening. This is all documented.
It's like a movie. It's like a movie, bro.
Yo, yeah. So
like
the Trump genre has begun, and I'm interested to see where this goes post his presidency because Joey's in there and Kamala. Shout out to Joey and Kamala.
You know where it's definitely gonna go? It's gonna go to 666, the devil's number, and also the number of kids that they found without parents.
Yes. So the original number.
Not touching this one. That's kind of
the original number of children who have been orphaned because of the Trump administration and their restrictions on immigrants as at the border, dreamers, refugees, whatever you want to call them. It was 545. It turns out the number's higher. 666 children as of today do not know where their families are. They've been separated. They're orphaned, basically. So there's a number of human rights organizations that are trying their darndest to reconnect these children with their families. But it's an issue that, again, this is one of many issues that are going to be dropped right in the lap of President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. They mentioned about immigration during their respective debates. This is a major issue in the topic of immigration that is a lot worse than was originally perceived. So it's sad, bro. It's sad. It's bad enough you got kids in cages, but orphaned. Just as soon as they touch down at the ICE or border detention center, they're really prisons. Like I've seen a bunch of like documentaries on what they really look like on these freaking border prisons. They're just orphaned, just off the bat. Like, yeah, we don't know where your parents are, and we don't know if you're ever going to see them again. Welcome to America.
Maybe they're working the polls at Pennsylvania, and Trump is right about these people coming over and rigging elections. Well, if the Democrats, they actually win the election, right? If there wasn't any scheming going on, how can they guarantee that they won't fall apart from within?
She's Latina, right?
No.
Yeah. AOC? Yeah, she is.
No. Let me introduce her. She's Latina. Pretty in the face, small in the waist. Ugo J. AOC. Go ahead.
BAOC.
I like the slick back ponytail. I like the large blazer. Broad shoulders.
So what's this? People in the Democratic Party, they beefing? Like,
Yeah,
what's up with this division? What's up with that, man? Like, who's gonna pay off my student debt?
I mean, so basically, we've mentioned this in the past episodes. What's going on now in the Democratic Party, and Ed Boy can add to this as well because he's a little bit more knowledgeable than I am. Basically, you have corporate Democrats and progressives. So corporate Democrats are Obama, Biden, Kamala Harris. They're pretty much Republicans. You know, I mean, they have no problem working with J.P. Morgan and the Charles Schwabs of the world and the Goldman Sachs of the world and private insurance and money, basically money over working class people. And you got the progressives like my girl AOC, all her people, the squad, Katie Porter, Whiteboard Katie, that's why I call her, Stacey Abrams. You got them that are fighting, and of course, I call the godfather of the progressives, Bernie Sanders, my guy, Uncle Bernie. Basically, they are trying to fight for, they're called radical Democrats too, that's their other nickname. They're the ones that are pushing for the Green Deal, climate change, whatchamacallit, what else? Universal basic income, Medicare for all, a lot of things that Republicans have no interest in whatsoever. And corporate Democrats, they don't really have any interest in either because they don't see how they can make money off of it. They see this costing America versus making America money.
My bad.
No, go ahead, jump in.
This makes me go back to a previous episode we had where we were talking about the difference, not the difference, but how the Republicans are like, they band together because they don't care. They don't give a fuck. We're gonna get this done.
Mm-hmm.
And then I boy, you remember speaking about this when you were like how the Republicans have a set goal.
Yeah,
no matter what, they're gonna get that shit.
They get shit done. They get shit done. Yeah, I remember.
Right.
I remember this.
No matter who's getting harmed, this shit's getting done. And like now here we're in a space where the Democrats are like, I'm kind of Republican, but I'm kind of not. Like it's like in a weird space of like.
I mean, all right. So
Go ahead.
the way I see it is that the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, a lot of them wouldn't be Democrats if, like, the only reason why they're in the Democratic Party is because it makes them politically viable, right?
Yeah, it's a two-party system. They got no choice.
So, like, candidates like AOC, Bernie Sanders, maybe even throw Elizabeth Warren in there. They're far more left-leaning than the rest of the Democratic Party. For example, like AOC, like she has very open support from the Democratic Socialist Party, things of that nature. Where the establishment Democrat is just your sort of typical, traditional capitalist neoliberal sort of politicians you can say they're somewhat interchangeable with Republicans. I think the major difference between Republicans and Democrats is on social issues. They disagree pretty greatly, but when it comes to economic policy, typically Republicans are like, okay, spend less social programs, more freedom, take away restrictions to, remove restrictions from companies in order for them to be more productive, things of that nature. And Democrats traditionally are more, providing healthcare, helping people with, provide, things like food stamps, things like that. Things that would be associated with Democrats. But at the end of the day, they don't diverge that far when it comes to like economics, where the progressive wing of the Democratic Party varies greatly. Like Ugo said, they're very much about universal health care. Like that's they have different versions of that, but universal health care is pretty much like a staple. That's like bar none staple, Green New Deal when it comes to attacking climate change. Mm-hmm. Just a very less sort of individual mindset and more of like a societal mindset. When it comes to policy.
I feel like you just basically did Democrats and Republicans for dummies, bro.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he did.
Like literally, because a lot of people don't. So And I'm gonna be transparent. A lot of this, prior to the whole Trump situation and us doing the podcast, a lot of this politics shit I was not privy to. I would only know that I would be Democrat because of like apparent understanding or whatever. And I'm pretty sure a lot of our followers feel that way as well. But now with you breaking that down, that kind of gives it like the understanding that this is this and this is that. Like this is what usually is being supported, and this is what is usually being supported for Democrats and usually being supported for Republicans. Very insightful, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I just think
it's important.
Oh, my bad. What are you saying?
Very important. Yeah.
It's important for our listeners to understand that. It's important for people to understand. I mean, going back to her video, and explaining it, if you like, yes, the Democrats. What she was basically explaining was the Democrats still have control of the House, but they lost a whole bunch of seats. The Senate is a toss-up now. You know, we're going to get down to the runoff that's going to take place with two senatorial seats in January that the Democrats just have to have. If they don't get them, it's going to remain a Republican-controlled Senate, and that makes Joe Biden's first term harder. It makes it harder. I mean, to have a weakened House that's still Democrat majority, but it's weakened. It's not as strong as it was when Trump was in office. And the Senate is going to be Republican-led. So if he wants to pass anything, like there's only so many executive orders that you can do. Like you want to be able to work with the Senate to get shit done, so we don't have a lot of the same issues with Mitch McConnell blocking everything in the coming months or coming years, so to speak. You know, so she was basically explaining that this election wasn't supposed to be as hard as it was. You know, I mean, it really wasn't. Like the Dems were supposed to sweep. Like they were just supposed to sweep. It was kind of set up for them. But there's so much division within the Democratic Party that made it difficult for that to happen, which is why Biden won. Biden won. And I think he's going to win by, in my opinion, a pretty sizable margin. But for them to struggle the way they have with particularly the House and the Senate wasn't supposed to be this way. And progressives actually thrived. Every progressive that ran got reelected. and so, you know what I mean? Who wins at the end of the day?
And to make it less serious and bring DK into the conversation, his all black hat matches his all black shirt.
Look how serious he is.
Right?
He's like,
you had something you wanted to add, Ed Boy? You look like you were going to say something smart.
I wanted to add a lot in there.
I don't know. I think
I'll cut off Fab. JK.
I think a lot of it has to do with I don't know. I think one of the reasons why it was so divided is that rhetoric on the Democratic side is not very conducive to like convincing people to vote Democratic. I think they're really bad at branding. Like they're very openly. It's kind of like it's the same reason why a lot of people, for example, in the Black community, right? Like a lot of people like socially are very socially conservative. And when you talk to them, you know, their views would probably align more with Republicans and Democrats. But the reason why they don't vote Republican is because there's almost this sort of like aloofness or sort of disdain when it comes to like Black and minority voters. Like it's just sort of like they have certain ideas that they may agree with to address the problems in the Black community, but the way they communicate it comes off as very condescending. So there's this baked-in idea that, oh, wow, let's not vote for Republicans because they don't fuck with Black people, right? And I think a lot of this is happening in reverse, is that there are a lot of people who would maybe vote for Democrats, right? You know, who are maybe more progressive, who are maybe more leaning that way, but the rhetoric coming from the Democratic Party is very dismissive of the other half of the country. So there are a lot of fuck you votes in there. There are a lot of people who just said, yo, fuck these people. You know, Democratic Party's perceived as a party for like the coastal elite, for people in cities. They don't really care about the middle of the country. And a lot of the rhetoric reflects that, like, and it's a lot of it is the fault of the Democratic Party. Funny enough, I was looking at the demographics of voters. A lot more minorities voted for Republicans this year. A lot more Black people. A lot more Hispanics.
That's
A
true.
lot more, surprisingly, LGBTQ voted for Trump. A large portion.
Well, I can
Which
speak
is
on
very
the
surprising.
with the Latino situation. They talked
You can
about that,
speak about
especially.
Yeah, we spoke about it.
Well, yeah, especially in Florida. I mean, it's like Republicans did a great job of spinning it. They were like, yeah, I mean, Democrats they want to deport you. If you're Cuban or from
Deport
Venezuela
them.
or from Central America, yeah, don't vote Democrat because they're gonna be like, yeah, show us your papers, or else they're gonna deport you. So and that that turned off so many voters. It's a big reason why Trump won Florida. I mean, he got that Latino vote basically mainly in part because the Democrats didn't really do a good job of really hunkering down and targeting that group, because they kind of felt like, yeah, we got it. Yeah, we're good.
I mean, yeah, and the Republicans did a very good job at making their campaign very non-confrontational. I mean, it's weird because the Republican Party, their rhetoric is huge about border security, getting rid of illegals, but this actually appeals to a lot of minorities, poor people who could be perceived where they could say, the job market's already hard as it is, and we have all these illegals here, is making it harder for us. They drive the price of labor down. It makes it harder for us. So the Republican Party did a very good job at sort of appealing to minority concerns in that regard. And I think a lot of the Democratic Party just assumed that, oh yeah, we have that locked down. We're just going to virtue signal racial equality, this and that. But, people don't have jobs. People are struggling. It's like there's only so far, the rhetoric of, we're here for racial solidarity. We're on your side and they're the bad guys. It's like when people don't have jobs and people are struggling, it's like they want someone to talk about that. They want someone to talk about the economy. And I think the Republicans did that way more than I saw on the Democratic side. So they have a branding problem, and which is funny because the progressives actually addressed that pretty handily in their rhetoric. Like Bernie Sanders, the people first go around, I perceive people who voted for Bernie in the primaries and people that voted for Trump in the primaries, at least the first go around, were kind of the same people, like they were just kind of tired of the establishment. They don't want to vote for an established Democrat or Republican. They want someone who's on their team who respects them or gives the illusion or puts forth the view that they respect them.
Yeah,
so,
who's definitely going to be on my team? Whoever cancels $50,000 of my student debt.
Me.
Segue God. Okay, this was mine.
Damn, I shouldn't have paid off my student loans. I should have just left them there.
I told you that.
Segue God.
I told you that.
Well, according to a number of sources, Chuck Schumer is rumored to be pushing, as well as Elizabeth Warren behind the scenes. They're pushing for cancellation of $50K of student debt within Joe Biden's first 100 days in office. That is a strong possibility that is because this would tie right back into the economy, because that would provide some relief to the economy if this a $50K worth of debt isn't hanging over Americans ages 25 to whatever you want to call it.
My man, if he does this and a COVID check, 3 terms. I'm calling it right now. 3 terms. If he does that within his first 100 days, he's done.
We'll see.
We'll see. I mean,
we'll see, because a lot of people won't like that. There's a large proportion of Americans that are just that would completely, I don't know, that would polarize things even more, because there are a lot of people like, wow, you canceled student debt, but at what cost? Like, people
that'll only piss you off because you already paid it.
No, I don't care. I mean, I would
like, what the fuck, man? This isn't fair. I want my 50.
No, I don't
pay now.
That wouldn't even make sense, because I already paid. So whether you pay or not has no effect on my life. But a lot of people would perceive that as like encouraging irresponsibility. There's a huge, view that if you borrowed, you should pay. Like there's no excuse. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I think that's very reflective on people who are more right-leaning, particularly sort of like even more further in the right. You know how we have like progressives in like the Democratic Party, and in the Republican Party, there's people who are, I wouldn't say more far right, but are more, they want the government to be hands off, like libertarians. Like they're just like this shouldn't have been a problem in the first place. You borrow money, it is what it is, bro. Like I don't know. I think it would be good for society in general, but what would that involve? Are they planning on paying off the loans and that's it? Even if they do pay off the loans, how does that affect it going forward? Like they get canceled debt. Like, what does that mean going forward? We're just going to have this problem, a decade later? Like, I don't know. I just wonder what their comprehensive solution is.
I didn't work out for Wall Street. Sorry, go.
I mean, I just take
it worked out pretty well for them.
I think it'll be all right.
I take Bernie Sanders.
It's a little different, but
since day one, you shouldn't be penalized for going to a 4-year university. Like you shouldn't have $50 to $150 to $200, sometimes $300,000 worth of debt, including interest. That shouldn't be a freaking yoke of bondage around your neck the second you get your degree, and now you're working to pay that off with your first, maybe your second, maybe for your whole career or your whole life term. Who knows? Everybody's case is different. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So it's just, so I take his standpoint. Like he broke it down so well when he was running for president of how other countries, other first world countries, they don't have this problem. And this isn't that hard. It really isn't. It really comes down to choice. It comes down to priority. If you can give $40 billion to the Pentagon, you can figure out how to cancel student debt or how to mitigate student debt. Okay, maybe not cancel it completely. Like, yeah, but this $50K it's a start. It's a start. It's something to begin with until you figure out how you want to attack it. Moving forward and for future generations. But to just have it as is fucking unconscionable. It's wrong. It just is.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because I owe Penn State $53K. I'm not just saying that because of that.
No, I don't know. That might be the reason. I think that's kind of the reason. He's like, no, it's not because I owe like a fucking year's salary to. Don't worry.
That doesn't help. But,
50 fucking K, bro.
I said what I said.
50K.
Yeah, bro. 50K isn't even that much. People owe way more than 50K.
I know.
50K is light work.
I know people that owe more. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm speaking more so for them.
50K is light.
I know people that owe like 200, and I'm just
that's candy store money.
Dear God,
it's not crack, bro, to the community.
Yeah, it's weird because it's a huge problem. It's like because okay, you can cancel student debt, but it's like, what do you do about the price of college? Like, what do you do about the increased demand of college? What do you do about the fact that essentially
nothing
colleges, you have all these loans that are backed by the Fed. So even if you don't pay them back, colleges make money regardless of whether you pay them back
with crazy ass interest too, man. We're not even talking about the interest. We're just talking about the principle, bro.
There's just so much wrong. So like I just think even if they were to cancel, oh my God, yeah, they canceled debt, haha, right? It's like you have a massive like not just cultural problem because people have expectations about what college is, why you need college, things of that nature. There's this idea that everyone needs to go to college, and that kind of drives the price up. And I don't necessarily think that's the case, but that's a whole nother thing. Like there's cultural expectations. You have the system. You have colleges that depend on the system of loans. Like you have, you have so many problems to like address. I just hope they have some sort of comprehensive thing and sort of just making a bunch of people happy. Hey, yeah, let's cancel debt. And then 10 years later, it's the same shit. Like, I don't know, man. It's they really need to address it on a grand scale. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't know.
I do. We start off with forgiving $50K for everybody, and then we get Andrew Yang to move to Georgia and steal those Senate seats so that the Democrats could own every fucking part of the fucking government, and then bam, forgiving bitches, forgiving.
Segue
a new COVID check and 3 terms in office.
Shout out to Andrew Yang. He's the hero that we need, but we don't deserve. Like, he is moving, I believe this week or next week, he's moving down to Georgia, and he's just going to hit the ground, boots on the ground, work with Stacey Abrams, all the progressives, all the grassroots Democrats down there to try to get those 2 Senate seats, man. John Ossoff and Raphael, what's the other guy's name? I forgot. I just know he's a reverend. Yes, they are trying to get these 2, because if the Democrats do secure those 2 seats, it would be 50-50 even, and the tiebreak would go to the Democrats because Kamala Harris is about to vacate her seat to take on the vice president elect office. So yeah, it's kind of a big deal. All eyes will be on Georgia come January 5th, I believe. Georgia is going to be a blue state, I believe, within the next few days or within the next few weeks. Actually, when the vote, I'm sorry, within the next few weeks, because they got the recount down there. Good luck with that, Trump. So when Georgia is officially a blue state, the Democrats are going to have some momentum. The goal is to get those 2 seats, get rid of Bitch McConnell, make Chuck Schumer the majority leader. That way, we can get these we can get these Biden checks. We can get these Biden checks, right? We get that $600 benefit back, and they can cancel $1 million worth of student debt. So
hopeful.
Shout out to Andrew Yang.
Rest on you, Andrew Yang, the last Senate bender. Do this,
bro.
Shout
out to Andrew Yang, bro. Ed boy, how do you feel about Yang?
You were the bender?
The Senate bender.
You with
Bend
Yang?
this shit, motherfucker.
You with the Yang gang? Yang gang?
I like Andrew Yang. He's kind of like he's kind of like what you would call a technocrat, in the sense that he's very big on he's very focused on the effect of technology on our lives, and he was the one that was really pushing for universal basic income, because Facts. In his opinion, it's that we're so much of a service industry. I mean, not service industry, like so much of our industry is based on the service sector. A lot of people's jobs, like, rote manual jobs, are becoming obsolete, and there's going to be a lot of people out of work, and we need a way to take care of them. And he's very much, future oriented. So I like him overall. He's well spoken. He's a smart guy. I think he has a big future, regardless of whether he stays in politics, whether he goes into new business ventures. He's just like, he's going to be around. Like, we're going to hear of Andrew Yang. I wouldn't be surprised if he gained momentum in years to come and made a real push to become a senator, president. That would not at all surprise me. He's very well spoken, and he's likable. And I don't think, I haven't heard anyone be on any side of the aisle be like, fuck Andrew Yang. I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have heard it here. Kamala Yang, 2024.
That boy got a crush. I've never heard him talk so highly.
And this ties back to the previous story, man. I mean, because I could speak about John Ossoff in particular. He is not a progressive at all. He's not with the Green New Deal. He's not with universal basic income. He's not with Medicare for all. He's not really with anything that has to do. The only thing he's with is making Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C., making them states. That's it. Because I watched a part of an interview he did with Axios TV on HBO Max, and he's not progressive at all, but he's still a Democrat. And I love how Andrew Yang and the progressives, they're looking past that. They're just like, okay, he's corporate Democrat. He doesn't rock with us at all, but we still need him to get that seat so that we can at least have a fighting chance to get some shit done while Joe Biden is in office. So, kudos.
Yeah,
kudos,
I think they're acting.
to that.
They're acting more like Republicans in the sense that they have so many internal disagreements, but like when it all comes down to it, like they vote red, they get shit done.
Facts. Facts.
That's what you said when we were talking about it before.
Yeah, they form like Voltron. Like they're like there's so much, like even on the right, people think Republican. Like you have your evangelicals, you have your libertarians, you have your your neocons, you have your run of the mill Republicans, you have like those moderates that can vote either way, but like when it comes to getting shit done, they form like Voltron and then they argue it out later. It looks like the Democrats are doing that kind of out of necessity. So and not only that, but Republicans are more effective, like everyone gerrymanders, but like they had a systematic way of gerrymandering, flipping seats, and the effects are still felt today. Like Democrats, due to gerrymandering, just have to work way harder to get House seats. They just have to work harder in general. So it looks like the Democrats are flipping or at least adopting that mindset out of necessity.
Looks like they've awakened and somehow.
Yeah, they got the juice. Because they were
made America great again by force.
They were getting shellacked. They were getting shellacked, and then they were just like, "Yo, bro, like we can't get murked like
this." MAGA, baby. And that's the base.
That's the base?
That's the base rundown.